Well, hi guys. My name is Chris Langell. I'm here with you live today with another great episode and educational resources for you, trauma survivors, and anyone that's maybe dealing with stress right now. I mean, look at what's going on in the world. We've got so many things going on right now that are telling us to be scared, panic, fearful, and really that's not healthy to be in that state of mind all the time. So we have to take control of our own mentality. We have to build a positive, reinforcing system in our own selves so we can live a happy, fulfilling life. And today, I have an amazing guest with me. Her name's Tessa Milne, and she is from Face of a Survivor. She works with trauma survivors, maybe adolescents and children that want to kind of break those bad habits before they even start. And so she's worked with so many people on helping them overcome their past experiences and traumatic events. And so we wanted to bring her on today to kind of learn about her practice and see what she thinks people can do right now to reduce stress, anxiety, and the fear that has everyone boiling over the current situation we have found ourselves in. So without further ado, let's get Tessa on the show. Hey, Tessa.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. So,
Absolutely.
I want to jump right into today's topics. And I know we have a
Do it.
lot to cover. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do for people in the realm of trauma survivors and maybe just general people that need help getting through the difficult moments of life.
Yes, so I am a survivor of abuse myself. I went through childhood abuse and I ended up in an abusive relationship in my early 20s that almost ended my life. I almost died several times by the hands of my abuser, but I also attempted suicide when I was 22 years old. And it's something that I'm very, very passionate about with sharing and making myself vulnerable enough for people to hear my survival story and my struggles and what I've overcome, just to let people know that there is a better life after trauma and abuse, and not to dwell on the past, but to be able to grow from it, learn from it, and to have those goals for yourself and success. So I've survived that, I've gone through that. I'm thriving and I'm helping others do the same. When I did come out of my abusive situation, I did still struggle. And it's because I had only physically gotten out of it. And you really need to be able to come out of it in different levels, not just physically. So my mental health was definitely at risk. But I went through a depression. I had actually escaped my abuser. I had taken my parents out of my life because that's where the abuse stemmed from. And I was married and disconnected from certain family members. And that was a really, really hard decision for me. It was one of the hardest, but it was the best decision that I had had to make for myself. And I'm being a new mother at the time and being able to find myself. I was going through or going to support groups and hearing all of these success stories from all of these people, and I just didn't feel like I was there. And I really, really wanted to be in that place of strength, inner strength, empowerment, and all of that stuff. So there came a point in my life where I told myself, okay, I'm going to make a vow to myself that every day I'm going to look into the mirror and I'm going to say to myself, I'm a survivor, I'm a survivor, I'm a survivor. So then I would say that to myself every single day. And then every one day I looked in the mirror and I was like, I'm a survivor because. So then I actually put a meaning behind it. Like, I'm a survivor because I said no to someone today. Or I'm a survivor today because I was able to accept another positive person into my circle, or I'm a survivor because I did 3 loads of laundry today. So there's always a meaning. I always had something positive to look for. And it was that transition of that negative thought process to a positive thought process. And I just did that every single day until one day I looked in the mirror and I was like, so this is what a survivor is. This is what a survivor looks like. I am the face of a survivor, and that's how I created Face of a Survivor.
Wow, that's a very amazing story on how, like, kind of in a short sense, how that all came to be.
In a
And thank you so
nutshell.
much for that. Well, no, and thank you for sharing that because some people won't. Some people, they can't. They're not in a place to share some of the things that have happened to them. I've been in that place before as well. And I think what you're describing, and I guess for me, I was in the military, so I always think of it in a military sense. We all have that survival mentality. When we're deployed and downrange, it's a mindset. And when you take on that mindset of a survivor, other things can't exist in the same space sometimes.
Exactly.
And as soon as you feed that and nurture that survivor mentality, I can definitely see how anxiousness might fall away,
Right.
uncertainty might fall away.
Right.
And but there's a, I would say, like a bell curve of how all of that can happen in someone's journey of healing. So, with that being said, let's talk about what you're doing in your practice and how you help people along that bell curve of, I started here and I had the most horrible thing happen to me, and it was out of my control. People were violated in many different ways. There's so many different ways people can have trauma happen to them. It could be a car accident. They got hit by a drunk
Absolutely.
driver and now they're scared to get in their car.
Right.
To as extreme as domestic violence, sexual assault, and all these, everything in between, and every color of the rainbow of abuse. So, how do you work with your clients from day one? This happened to me, and I'm at a place where I need help. I'm not doing well, and how do you help them get through that curve of, now I'm in a place of, I'm a survivor and I can do this and I don't have to be scared every day of my life because of what happened to me 4 months
Hmm.
ago?
Right. Yeah, I always tell people progress is a process, and when you're going through this journey of transformation for yourself, you really have to be patient with yourself. So you learn patience with yourself, that's for sure. And then the transition of that negative thought process to the positive thought process, that's a practice. It's something that has to be practiced on a regular basis in order for it to stick. And when it starts sticking, and here's another thing that a lot of people have a lot of issues with is sometimes through that positive journey, we'll have a trigger and then we tend to fall back onto that negative thought process again because it was something that was a lifestyle. It was something that was practiced on a regular basis, so it's still embedded in us. But that doesn't mean that when you revert back that you're this failure. And a lot of people look at themselves as being the failure. Look, we're all going to have failures in life, but the fact of the matter is you are not the failure. You will have failures, but you are not the failure. So embedding that and being able to practice that, saying in that thought process for yourself can actually help you with moving forward and knowing that even if you do revert back to something negative like that, you're resilient. You can bounce back. It's going to be okay. And there's nothing wrong with failures. A lot of people are scared of feeling at something because again they're looking at themselves as the failure. So that's one of the things that I focus in on with my clients is being able to understand that the process is going to take time. It's not going to just fix itself overnight. So and also being that accountability for them to let them know, okay, what steps are you taking, setting those goals that accommodate them, that helps them, because everybody's different. Everybody comes from different circumstances. So you're not going to make the same plan for every single person or a goal for every single person the same way. It's going to be different for each one. So being able to display that and to allow them to process that with emotions. I'm very into EQ, which is emotional quotient, also known as emotional intelligence. And that's something that we don't learn in schools. We learn about IQ, which is intellectual quotient. But when those are intertwined, it's a lot easier for people to jump back and be resilient and understanding what it is that they're feeling and going through in that moment, processing it and allowing that process to happen in order for them to move forward and grow for themselves. So that's one of the things.
Right. And I think you said something key there that ties into a lot of how we can capture people that may be in a depressive state that are on the verge of suicidal thought ideation or any kind of action. And it's something that you said that someone else actually said, and the word phrase is in that moment. In that moment, they have to be able to do these things and not take a drastic reaction and response. So the
Right.
concept of a lot of this work that we're talking about in, in our support group that we run on Thursdays, and I know that you're talking to clients about, is how do I go in a state of chaotic moment where things are very uncomfortable. I'm scared, I'm angry, and I'm depressed all at the same time. And how do I allow that, all those emotions to happen and itemize them, figure out where did this come from, how did I get here, and how do I navigate my way back to a better place or forward to a better state of mind. And I know it does take practice. It does take writing these things out. For me, it took months of journaling and writing intimately. When I had a situation, I call them a situation that happened. I write my situation down and decide, is this situation real and justified for me to have? Is my thoughts and emotions justified for what happened? And this is what I was going to do about it. Do I like the result that's going to get? And being able to stop in that moment and do that's very difficult. But over time, you can develop this as it's like a computer program. If you
Right.
tell your brain to do it over and over again, eventually it's going to be an on-site call response. It's not going to be even a thought. That's just how you process information now. So I think that's
Exactly.
very empowering that you work with clients like that. Talk to me about your monthly memberships, your Evolve and Awareness monthly membership, and your kids empowerment stuff. Talk to me about these memberships and what does that give the clients that you work with?
So for the kiddos, what I do is a kids empowerment leadership program. And we focus on leadership. We focus on empowerment. We focus on anti-bullying and how to be an active bystander and so on and so forth. It's building them up and letting them know that they have a voice and that their voice matters and who they can turn to. So there's those resources for them as well. And also having that be a practice. It starts with the kids. It does. But not only do the kids get this information, but their parents also get information as well. So that way they know what their kiddos are working on. And that way they can also work with their children on a little bit at home when they're not in the actual program. So, and it's once a week, and it's for 2 months. It's a 2-month program, and it's that proper social interaction because right now we know that not everybody can do that because of the quarantine and the pandemic, and that can be really really rough for children and families, parents, stuff like that. Being able to incorporate the positivity in that social interaction virtually with their peers and being able to monitor them and how they interact with each other as well. We do arts and crafts stuff, and they're able to speak to each other and ask any questions that they have, stuff like that. So that's for the kids empowerment leadership program. Again, that is a 2-month program, and that's 222, and that's what we cover with that. For the adults that I work with, I have the Evolve program where it's basically almost like the same thing but adultish. So, and being able to overcome the stuff that they've gone through, basically evolving and becoming aware of yourself and working on mindfulness. And like you had said with the journaling that you do, I do a lot of journaling and have journal prompts for them, so that way they can do that on a daily basis. I meet up with them once a week as well. And but that's a monthly membership. at 111, and we go over more detailed and personal stuff because they're individualized. Where with the kids empowerment, that's a group setting, but with the evolve and awareness coaching that I do for my adult clients, that's one-on-one. So we go over stuff like that with whatever it is that they've gone through. They share their feelings, their emotions, the things that they've been going through that week, what they've been focusing on, what's helped, what hasn't helped, so on and so forth. So, we try to touch as much as we can.
No, that's awesome. And there is one other thing that I know you provide as services for make events of. And before we get into this, I've seen this online, and these are these Cuddle Buddy events. And you're also offering those services here in Arizona. And
Yes.
I want to take a moment because a lot of people might look at that differently and say, I don't know about that. That's weird.
Right.
I'm not sure. And I want to explain something for people like who might be benefiting from that. So let's take an example. I always like to use a worldly example to show you how this one healing modality could be the change in that person's healing journey. What if you take someone that's been physically abused with an intimate partner? And so now they're scared of people touching them because every time they got touched by someone, it was in an aggressive or non-loving manner. And so their
Exactly.
brain is so messed up right now that they can't experience the love of a hug because it's still too traumatic because of what they've experienced. So before anyone notates this as something that might not work or whatnot, you just have to think in the headspace of someone that is coming from a place of trauma, that hasn't been able to experience the feeling of touch by someone else, another human, that this could be the change in how they're now able to move forward, how they could be in another
Right.
relationship again because they were able to relearn in a safe environment how to be loved and touched in a loving manner that's not in an aggressive or a unwanted sexual approach manner and all these other things that can be traumatic for people. So I want you to talk more about this, but I just wanted to give my logical, like, how would this make sense? Because I tried to figure it out, and that's the only thing I really did. I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, this makes sense for certain people. They could really benefit from that. So tell us a little bit more about your Cuddle Buddy events and how that helps people overcome their traumas that they've experienced.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you said that because that hits a lot. It really does. So the Cuddle Buddies events, what Face of a Survivor does is we actually collaborate with an agency called Alliance of Therapy Dogs. So it's us cuddling with therapy dogs, but there's also other activities that we do with the Cuddle Buddies that helps people with, again, that transition of that mindset, but also knowing that it's a safe place for them. And if there's something that they do want to share, then they can turn to the group and, whomever is involved in it. And I have my ambassadors. Face of a Survivor has ambassadors throughout the US. And what they do is they help with spreading awareness. They help with spreading that positivity and being there, that positive support and sharing resources and so on and so forth. So our ambassadors really get involved as well in being there for those that are in need. And they go through trainings and everything in order to provide what those in need are needing. So with the Cuddle Buddies, it's more hands-on with the animals versus like with another individual, but learning to welcome the fact that it's okay to go through your emotions and to also have that proper support and ask for help. A lot of people are afraid to ask for help because they see it as a weakness. And the reason why they see that as a weakness is because it's been embedded in them that it is from generation to generation or from relationship to relationship. And what happens is, what a lot of people that come from like abusive situations, if they leave an abusive situation and they don't turn to the proper support, what happens is they end up going into another abusive situation. So it's being able to also share information like that, which is part of the awareness in those kinds of events, and letting them know that like the animals that we bring in for the cuddle buddies, the therapy dogs, some of them also come from very traumatic situations, but they've bounced back. And this is one of the reasons why I work with animals, is because when I was in my abusive situation, I turned to animals. Animals are what helped me get out of my abusive situation and helped me leave my abuser. And people may not understand that, but it's because I worked like at the time and I always wanted to incorporate animals in my life somehow, some way, career wise, personal wise. And being able to see the animals that I worked with, they were going into like the foster homes and stuff like that. I was seeing them come in emaciated, in pain, abused, scared of the human hand. And then I was seeing them being rehabilitated in these foster cares. And I was seeing them transition from being so scared of humans to slowly transition into, hey, you want to play ball with me? Like they would bring me the ball and I would throw the ball, or they would actually eat out of my hand. And I learned from animals that if they can transform like that, I can too, which is what helped me with my progression of transitioning from the victim mindset into a healthier mindset. And a lot of people don't give animals the credit. And being able to have cuddle buddies events helps me to share with people that there is a better life after trauma and abuse and success. So if you can, like how I saw with these animals, how they transitioned, I saw it. Like I saw them do this on their own, but with guidance and help and a practice on a daily basis in order for them to believe that for themselves. We can do that too. So animals can really teach us a lot. And with the cuddle buddies, a lot of people are opening up more when they have the animal next to them. It gives them that strength and that purpose, and letting them know like, hey, and also hearing other people's survival stories as well, and traumas that they've overcome. And so it's a combination of hearing another person speak on what they've experienced and how they've overcome their struggles, but also having the like that companion right next to you to say like it's okay. And these therapy dogs, it's like they know when you need to be cuddled. They'll just come up to you and snuggle up next to you, and it's the sweetest and most admirable thing that you can see the animal do, because they're so genuine. They are so genuine. And seeing that, and I mean, sometimes people will just burst out in tears because it's that release, which there's nothing wrong with crying, but
Right.
it's that release that they're feeling, that overwhelmingness that is
Mm,
releasing from them, that they're getting from the companion.
No, I can completely relate to that, and I know animal therapy works so well with
Oh
veterans
yeah.
and trauma survivors. I've been through a couple programs for equine therapy and other things that work really well for that. So I think it's awesome that more people are incorporating this into their practice and really helping people connect.
Mhm.
Back to, I think it comes back to connecting back to a natural process and nature aspect of it. So it's a lot of things that we're incorporating with our healing center that we're building up in Show Love,
Right.
and trying to take people out of that normal environment that they're in and really help them reconnect and reintegrate on a more simplistic life and mentality, because right now everything's overwhelming and chaotic. So you do so many amazing things, Tessa, and I do know
Thank
you
you.
have a food drive coming up. Tell us about the food and clothing drive. Where does that stuff go, and how can someone get stuff to you, or if they want to participate in that?
Yes, they can contact me or they can contact our ambassadors in different states. So it's starting December all the way through January. It's food and clothing drive. So I have a facility in Phoenix at the Thunderbird Art Center that we're able to hold that stuff at. But what we're doing is we're helping individual families and providing the clothing and the food, or shelters as well. And the ambassadors in the different states are doing that as well. So contact me, and if you're wanting to donate, or if you or someone you know, like a family that you know, is in need, please contact us and let us know. So that's what we're doing. And if you're in Phoenix or Arizona, then what we do is we schedule the drop-offs. So because of everything that's going on right now with the pandemic, we want to make sure everybody's safe. So they are scheduled drop-offs here in Arizona, but also in the different states as well too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for your clients and the community here in Arizona. It's just a very
Thank you.
positive impact. So we appreciate that. We need more people doing this kind of work, especially with the overwhelming amount of numbers of people looking for mental health. And like counselors are closing their offices right now. They don't have online setup. So, we're here as Help Me PTSD to not only make sure people are getting continual educational resources, but, to also make sure that there's a platform digitally at instant access where people can get these videos and know they can get coaches and counselors services for them immediately. So Tessa, thank you so much for being on the show today. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank
Let us
you.
know how we can help you and support you, and we'll definitely share this video out so more people can hear your story and what you're doing here in Arizona.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and vice versa. You can always contact me anytime too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, hey guys, that brings us to the close of our show today. And so much good information in this. Take this, share it. If you find it valuable, leave a comment, open up a discussion. Tessa's already tagged in this post. I'm going to be tagged in the post. So if you do have questions here, go ahead and post them in there. If you want to get in touch with anyone that you see on these videos, please reach out to us via Facebook Messenger. Go ahead and email support@helpmeptsd.org, and we'll have someone respond to you real quickly. If you have any questions other than that, thank you so much for being here today and watching all this stuff and good information that we have for you guys. Again, my name is Chris Langell, and I'm the founder of Help Me PTSD. And we hope that you find this platform useful and helpful to you in your healing journey. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and let's get healthy, guys. Let's be mentally strong and mentally healthy during these trying times that we find ourselves in.